Today's gospel story about Bartimaeus, the blind man, is really a story about the courage that it takes to come to Jesus and the conversion that happens in that process as well. Now, all three of these elements are related: courage, closeness to Jesus, and conversion. These elements are also a necessary part of our efforts to protect and promote all human life from conception until natural death. Bartimaeus shows us courage in his vocal perseverance despite those who tried to silence him. He would not give in to the intimidation and pressure of the crowd around him. He continued to raise his voice even louder and to make sure that his voice is heard. Bartimaeus shows us closeness to Jesus in that he readily comes to the Lord when he is being called. He also shows us closeness to Jesus by choosing to use the gift of sight in order to follow the Lord on his way to Jerusalem, rather than to return home with his healing and live life as he wanted. Bartimaeus shows us conversion when he throws off his cloak. Clothing in the ancient world was a symbol of a person's identity. So to throw off his cloak is a way of saying that he was undergoing a change of identity as he draws closer to Jesus. We also see his conversion when Jesus asks him the question, "What do you want me to do for you?" And he responds, "I want to see." Remember that Bartimaeus began by only asking Jesus for mercy, which would probably have meant some alms to help him get by. But in the end of the story, Bartimaeus changes his request. No longer does he just seek a momentary handout to keep him comfortable the way he was. Rather, he asks for that gift that will change and transform his life so he can be a capable and faithful disciple. He asks to see. As people committed to the protection and promotion of all human life, we need these same elements of courage, closeness to Jesus, and conversion. First, we need courage, because there are so many crowds today who want us to be silent when we speak a message of life. Political discourse is filled with intimidating speech and malicious accusations. The truth is that every human life is created by God, whether that life be young or old, rich or poor, healthy or infirmed, citizen or migrant, imprisoned or free, born or unborn. No one's life is sacred unless everyone's life is sacred. It takes courage to speak this pro-life message in a culture that sees death as a solution to problems. And we must speak loudest on behalf of those who cannot speak for themselves. Secondly, we need to come close to Jesus, because he himself is the Lord of life, and he alone teaches us what it means to be fully human and fully alive. When we come close to Jesus, then we will love what he loves. We will manifest our love for him in our care for our brothers and sisters, because they too are members of his body and the Holy Spirit dwells in them. When we come close to Jesus, we will see things more clearly. Jesus healed the sick. He didn't assist in their suicide. Jesus welcomed the little children. He didn't destroy them in their mother's womb. Jesus ministered to both citizen and foreigner. Jesus knows what it is like to be vulnerable. He was conceived in the womb of an unwed mother. He fled persecution and murderous violence as a child and became a refugee in Egypt. Powerful leaders plotted his death and tried to entrap him to destroy him. He was falsely condemned to a shameful death for the entertainment and intimidation of the crowds. So come close to Jesus in his vulnerable brothers and sisters and profess him there as the Lord of life in them. And third, we need conversion. Because we all suffer from the diseases infecting our culture. There are viruses of indifference and passivity that deeply infect us and actually make us complacent and therefore complicit in the attacks on human life taking place around us, so long as it doesn't affect us personally. We have been indoctrinated with the lies of self-worship by which we make ourselves the arbitrators of right and wrong. We suffer from the misconception that legality equals morality, as though legislators were guided by moral values rather than political expediency. We desperately need conversion because we have become so accustomed to violent attacks on human life that it no longer bothers us, so long as it doesn't involve us. This toxic disease was perfectly exemplified by Bill Maher this past spring when he commented on abortion, and he said this: "They think it's murder, and it kind of is. I'm just okay with that. I am. I mean, there's 8 billion people in the world. I'm sorry, we won't miss you. I'm okay with murder." Can you possibly imagine those words ever coming from the mouth of Jesus? Indeed, the fact that this statement could be made in the public forum without outcry demonstrates that we are so infected with these viruses that we don't even realize it. We have to look to Jesus to see what true health looks like, what right thinking sounds like, what protecting human life requires. We need conversion because this disease runs deeply in our culture and manifests itself in the various symptoms we confront. Every visible attack on human life is but a symptom of these underlying diseases. And only conversion will heal this sickness. The truth of Jesus will reveal and shatter the lies generated by the culture of death. We have to want that healing and want that truth, and willing to be an active agent of protecting and promoting human life. when we do want that and do that, then we will be like Bartimaeus. We will be people who are strong and capable disciples, ready to follow wherever Jesus leads.